All right. So pay attention to this demo really fast. All right. This is what our presentation is. We're done. Okay. There go my reviews. Anyway, so this is an example. What you're seeing the video being playing here is an example of how we see the SDK, the Microsoft Information Protection SDK, actually being realized in the real world. This is the more complete example before we actually get into the code. And here you're seeing examples where a user's going ahead and uploading content into Dropbox, and we have a partner product from Digital Guardian going ahead and blocking that, saying it's against company policy as such. So there are, again, several use cases that are covered within this particular video that I'm showing. We're going to start, the reason why we're starting with that is because it kind of covers a gamut of use cases right from the get-go. And these are use cases that have been realized already. All right? So without further ado, I am Kartik Kanikasabasan. I'm a program manager for, I work in the Azure Information Protection team, but my role essentially is to help work with partners and help develop an ecosystem for information protection products. And I'm here with my colleague, Tom Moser.
Yeah, I'm Tom Moser. I'm a senior program manager on the Azure Information Protection team, specifically on our SDK team.
All right. So with that said, how many of you have already heard the term MIP or Microsoft? Okay, great. How many of you were there at the MIP keynote yesterday? Just a show of hands. All right, so a lot of the stuff I'm going to say is not going to be news. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about why we went down the route of going ahead and creating an SDK, something that was already there before. We had an SDK before with RMS. What's new about it? So we'll talk about that. In addition to that, look at exactly how it fits into the overall MIP picture, or Microsoft Information Protection picture. And then throughout the course of the presentation, Tom and I are going to be showcasing a lot of the demo and the capabilities that we're bringing to bear with this new SDK as such. So there we go. So exactly what is Microsoft Information Protection? Microsoft Information Protection essentially is the ability to go ahead and detect, classify, protect, and monitor across various different workloads, whether that be on your device, in the cloud, on-prem, a SaaS app, as the case may be. We want to be able to go and make sure the experience remains as consistent as possible when you're trying to go ahead and protect your intellectual property. Now, the way we went about doing this was kind of broken, to say the least, because you had Office doing something on their own, and then you had Windows kind of doing something separate, and then you had Azure kind of doing something on its own realm. And when partners like yourselves kind of looked at it, said, okay, where do I start? And that kind of became a head-scratching exercise in and of itself. And if you're bald like I am, it's a very painful exercise. All right? So we kind of took a step back and said, okay, well, how do we do this better? How do we do this right, so to speak? And that's where we landed today. This is where, as of today, or as of yesterday, basically, the fact that we've mentioned Microsoft Information Protection, we are now building, if you will, a consistent experience across the board, regardless of how you consume that protected information. And when I do say protected, it's for a reason, because protection in some cases may imply encryption and may not imply encryption. Today, obviously, it does imply encryption for obvious reasons. But we are looking at things beyond how to expand the umbrella for the term protection as we evolve down this whole MIP continuum, as it were. But the intent is to keep the experience for classification, labeling, and protection as consistent as possible, regardless of where the payload goes. And how is this important? One of the great things about this SDK is that it is battle-hardened. And what do I mean by that? It means the fact that we already have a slew of products in Microsoft. Within Microsoft, one of the big tenets that we've actually used while building this SDK is first party equal to third party. There are no hidden SDKs that we only expose to Microsoft or functions that we only expose to Microsoft products that we do not expose to our third-party partners. They are identical. All right? So that's one of the key tenets that we actually aspire to. And then, as a matter of fact, as part of the broader MIP initiative, our partnership ecosystem is a very vital component of how we want our MIP community to thrive. So exactly what is the MIP SDK? First of all, it is GA as of today, and it's available on Mac, Linux, and Windows. And on Linux specifically, it'll be available on Debian, Ubuntu, and Red Hat. So as of today, technically, thank you. As of today, technically, we are now available on 5 operating systems. In addition to that, we are also public preview for the mobile SDK. And as you can see, we also have a C# wrapper. So these are all experiences that you can start as of today, or later in the day, provided that that's something you want to do after having a day-long session with PowerPoints. But if that's what you want to go do, we'll be ready. And in addition to that, there's some things that we actually did differently in this case, unlike in the past where we had the RMS SDK. How many of you here have worked with the RMS SDK, just a show of hands? Or MSIPC as the other word. All right, okay, just a few. So we had the RMS SDK, which we internally call as the MSIPC SDK. Some of the architectural drawbacks on that was the fact that when you installed the SDK on the machine, when you downloaded that from Download Center and installed that, it was a shared library. So all apps were using the same set of shared libraries. So if that library changed, well, then all apps had issues. Now in this case, we've made this SDK really lightweight. And it renders itself really well to sandboxing. So what it means is your application could be self-contained, and the libraries, the SDK, would be bundled with it. And if there's another app, it'll manifest the same set of behaviors, and you guys can interoperate. Not a problem. All right? And it doesn't have to be just a line of business application. It could be a third-party app, it could be a Microsoft app, and it could be your line of business app, all interoperating without a problem as such. Along with that, it is a cross-platform C++. There's a reason why I called out C# particularly, because it's a cross-platform C++ SDK. And it will remain that way for a while. The core logic of classification, labeling, and protection will remain as in C#, but we will provide wrappers on top of it for different types of languages. Now, what are the kind of applications can you go build? Typically, there's always, well, I'm building an interactive application, so does it support that? Or I'm building a service application that's going to run in the background and do things. Can it support that? The answer is a resounding yes. We support all apps. The big difference, by the way, for those of you who've used the RMS SDK, anyone aware of the symmetric key authentication? Okay, nobody knows that. Good. Ignore that. All right, as of right now, for both service applications and user applications, you are now going to be using OAuth, which is the modern way of authenticating. And the SDK understands that. And as we move forward, as AAD brings in more capabilities, things like privileged access control and all those other capabilities, we'll now be manifesting that through the SDK as we evolve. Other things, so when I talk about the user applications and service applications, what's the difference? Well, think of user applications as the one where the user is actually interacting. So think about authoring tools, CAD/CAM solutions, so on and so forth. Service applications could be network DLP, CASB products, or e-discovery solutions. So now you're going ahead and looking at it through multiple users' perspective and looking at content and indexing capabilities and so on and so forth. So the SDK is designed to work in both types of environments. The other thing that we're doing that is different from the past is the fact that we have, well, how do you engage with us? Our intent is to also go build a community around this. So right now, obviously, there are a lot of samples available on GitHub. They've also gone live as of today. In addition to that, we have presence on Stack Overflow. If you are going to get in touch with us on Stack Overflow, please use the term Microsoft-information protection or information protection, right? Because we're monitoring all those tags as such. We're also, we have a pretty vibrant community on Yammer. And those of you who are existing customers and partners of the information protection product line know exactly where to go on Yammer, but it's there as well. And in addition to that, we have our presence on GitHub. So you have all these venues where you can now go ahead and engage with us, and we are actively looking at ways too. I would just caution you that some of the samples we're working right now, so if you try to contribute changes, as much as we appreciate your effort, we're not accepting any contribution right now, but eventually we will, because we have to work out the modalities. So our focus right now is to go make sure that we have things to get started with, and then from then on, as we further figure out what the modalities are for accepting contributions. We'll figure that out and then accept contributions as such on GitHub as well for the samples, as it were. That said, the other part that really excites both Tom and myself is the fact that as of this day, this is our NASCAR slide, as we call it. These are all the logos of all the partners that we're working with that are in some way, shape, or form have already seen the SDK since its nascent stages and are now actively planning general availability of their products and services, integrations, if you will, with the SDK. All right? I can't commit on exactly when they'll release it, but the fact is they've been working, and they have tested it. In some cases, they were also our guinea pig. I'm not going to mention names. All right? But they did try it out, and they actually invested time with us to make sure that this SDK is a mature SDK, even though it's a 1.0 version of it. What is unique about this is, as I mentioned, the reason why I asked about why I keep going back to the whole RMS piece is primarily because RMS was primarily a protection SDK. It was an encryption SDK. This is our first SDK that kind of fulfills our vision of where we want to go, where we want to now start digging in classification, labeling, protection, all those capabilities under one umbrella. And we want to make sure it's something still. We don't compromise on the fact that it's going to be lightweight SDK so that you're able to use it and get your application running as quickly as possible. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Tom, to take you along further on the journey.
I'm going to hand that over. All right, so the next few slides, we're going to talk about the API components of the SDK, and then I'll do some demos, and then we'll take questions. So actually, if you have any questions while I'm speaking, feel free to interrupt. Just ask you, please come up to the mic or yell. The SDK itself is broken up into three components, three-component APIs. We've got our protection API, our policy API, and the file API. This slide illustrates how they sort of sit on top of each other. So the foundation of the SDK would be our policy API and the protection API, and then we've abstracted things into the file API based on functionality from each of those with a bit of additional functionality so that we can do some other cool things that we'll talk about here in a minute. So the first one is the protection API, and this is how the SDK will provide protection for documents and any information that you pass into it. It accepts plain text content. It generates a publishing license. Is anybody familiar with what publishing license means? Perfect. So the publishing license is essentially what we do to license content to be consumed by users that are using the SDK. And so every single piece of information that I protect with the SDK generates what's called a publishing license that describes who should have access to the information. We embed the content key inside of that, and then we wrap it up with your the keys from the service that you create when you provision AIP to encrypt that, and then we send that up to the service to decide whether or not you should have access to it at consumption. If there's more questions on that, I'd be happy to do a whiteboard session over at our booth today or tomorrow for anybody that wants to stop by. And anybody in the team should be able to provide that. And then the protection SDK, so it provides, the encryption of plain text strings, decryption of ciphertext, so I can pass in some ciphertext and get a plain text output, but rights enforcement's up to the developers. So if everybody's seen within Windows, if I've applied protection to content like do not forward or preventing copy or print, Office is actually what's enforcing that. If my application doesn't enforce those things, then it doesn't enforce those things. And so as an application developer, whether it's my line of business application, whether it's, let's say, a piece of PDF viewing software, it's up to me to ensure that I'm enforcing rights properly as described in the publishing license. So I'll do a demo here of what that looks like. Now, all these samples are pretty simple, and the idea is to get bootstrapped somewhat quickly on the SDK itself. And so this one is our protection sample, which is pretty simple. The sample's up on GitHub now. The link is in the next slide. And it shows taking some plain text input. Well, first I list all the labels, or template IDs rather. So templates are what we use to define the protection settings for a label. So when you create a label in AIP on the backend service, we generate what's called a template, and that template provides all the settings and information I need to protect something. And so here you can see that I've listed all the template IDs. There's no names. We don't return the list of names. We expect to get that from a label. And I'm just going to copy one of these. And my sample app here prompts me to enter that, so I enter that template ID. And then it wants some text to encrypt, so and if there's no Wi-Fi problems, what will happen here is we should get some ciphertext output, so you can see that it's just put out something to the console that's pretty useless. and then I take that same string and decrypt it. So you can show that by providing this template ID, by then providing some plain text input, I was able to generate the ciphertext, and using that same publishing license, I was able to decrypt that ciphertext and then spit that back out to the console. A more practical application of this might be if I'm an application developer who owns the file type that I'm using. So if I own, let's say, a CAD/CAM application, and I want to protect certain parts of that file, it's a compound file type, I can use this to ensure that components in that file are encrypted, embed the publishing license with my file, make my application understand what all of that means, and then when somebody goes to consume that design of a brand new car, the application will be able to decrypt it and only show the user what they should have rights to, and then anything else would show with some stub message that says, sorry, you don't have rights to this thing. Screen? 5. Like the sticker says. All right, so this sample is available today, if the slide changes, at aka.ms/, sorry about the long URL, MIP SDK Ignite. Oh, that should say protection sample. Sorry, not policy sample. I copied this slide around. And they're all out on GitHub, so if you look under the Azure samples team under GitHub, you can search for just MIP SDK, and all the samples we have published will come up. We should have more available over the next couple of weeks. Oh, okay, so we'll do a demo here of these two, the policy API, and then I'll explain the policy API in a minute. So what we've done is we've worked with, there's an announcement we made yesterday, that Adobe is now supporting the protected PDF format. So we worked with Adobe to get that work done. So the biggest complaint we've heard about AIP over time is that we don't elegantly support PDF files. So we used to have this protected PDF wrapper. I could take the PDF, encrypt it, we put it into a PPDF file. It wasn't a great experience for end users. They had to use a different viewer. Now with Adobe, we're able to natively protect these files. And so here you can see I have this PDF demo document, which is unprotected. If I open it up in Chrome, you're going to see that I can read the comments here. This is one of our deployment guides for AIP. And if I close that, I've got this protected file. So this is my one I've previously protected. If I try to open up that in Chrome or any PDF viewer, it gives me this stub message that says this is a protected document. You can use it, view it using one of our supported readers. And
this is what is called as an unenlightened app.
Yeah. And so now if I right-click and open with, and I open this up with Adobe Acrobat, if the demo gods are kind, this will open up Adobe Reader, and you can see now that this is seamlessly, my user has no idea other than that at the top here it says secured. Now this document, I'm able to consume it. And if I look over here in the lock icon, it will show me the permissions I had. It shows me the label. So they use our policy API to decide to read the label metadata off the document. And if I click the permissions here, I'll actually see what rights I have on the document. And so I have a pretty broad set of rights with this because I protected it myself. But if I had less rights, you'd see that things are denied or not permitted.
So that was an example of using the MIP SDK on a Windows machine, and specifically from a user application standpoint. And now, as I mentioned, the fact that the SDK itself is being used by Microsoft, and one of the things you might have heard yesterday was the fact of a public preview of the Mac clients that actually enforce classification labeling protection within the Mac clients itself across Mac, iOS, and Android. Here's an example of what it would look like, what it looks like right now natively within the Office experience. And it's actually using the same SDK that Tom just showed you with Adobe. And in this case, I'm just going to go full screen for the time being. If you can see, now there's this label or button that shows up there on the ribbon that says sensitivity. Now, here, as you can see, it says label, public, general, confidential. And if I now click on confidential, I now get because the policy says when you apply a confidential label, you automatically get the header, footer, and the watermarking. And if you notice, right at the bottom here, you see a lock. That lock connotes the fact that it is encrypted and the label name that's been applied right there. So from your entire, this is the native integration that is now going to be made available within Office. It's no longer an add-in experience for those of you who've used AIP in the past. This now comes in, and this is the same similar experience that you'll also have now on iOS and Android as well. So I'm now going to pass that back over to Tom.
Yeah, go back to that.
Okay. All right.
figured out the issue here. I jumped a couple slides. So the next example we have is, the next API that we have is our policy API. And the policy API is what allows you as an application developer to pull labels from the service and then decide what those labels should do within your application. This doesn't touch any files. It doesn't provide any encryption. It exists only, well, for two reasons primarily. One is to list the labels available to a user, and then the other is to compute the actions on those labels, and I'll show you here in a minute what that looks like. The last thing that we added recently, and everybody saw the auditing dashboards, or some people might have seen the auditing reports and dashboards we released today in preview. You'll be able to feed information into that audit pipeline through this API as well, so you can submit audit events to know what your users are doing with files. This API is specifically useful, as Kartik mentioned, in applications like Office, where I need to display the labels to a user and then calculate some action it can take. We won't take any action. We'll say, you should apply this metadata, you should apply this header and footer, and you should apply this protection, but it's up to you as the application developer to do that. So I'll show you an example of the policy API. Now, I already launched this to save some time here. So what happened is I authenticated to the service, and it listed all the labels that are available to me. These are configured in protection.office.com in the classification section. And so what I'll do here is just copy this Contoso FTEs label and then paste it in. And so what this does is it runs something called compute action. It takes in that label ID and a bunch of other information potentially. And it spits out a list of actions. Now, in this case, the only thing I took from that list of actions was the metadata that should be applied. And so this is telling me that, hey, application, if you see this label identifier selected, you should apply this metadata that describes the document. How that gets applied to your file or record is up to you. In our case, our file API uses Adobe XMP in a lot of cases. And then anything outside of that, you could use either XMP to apply it, because we would know what that meant, or you'd have to come up with your own way to do it. A lot of switching between the, oh, I did that, oops. Okay, good. Okay, so the last API we have, and probably the one that will be used most frequently, particularly by customers who are not like an ISV type shop, but you're writing this in your line of business applications, is our file API. And that includes functionality from both the protection API and the policy API, and allows you to simply throw a label ID at it, give it a file path, and it gives you out a protected file, or labeled and protected file if the policy dictated that it should be protected. We support some well-known file types today, so pretty much Office files and PDFs. We can do any type of file as long as that file should be protected. We'll wrap that in what's called a P file that I'd be happy to talk to you guys afterwards if you're not familiar with that. It allows an application to apply or remove protection, so I can, again, if I was going to download something from a line of business application, I might want to apply a label to that. On download, that file would be protected, and then on upload, I could remove that protection as the application. So I know that as data is leaving that app and then being shared around the network, that it's protected appropriately. And I'll show you a sample of that here in a few minutes. So I'll show you a sample of the file API now. This is a simple command line console output. When I run it. So each of these applications, you'll notice, start off with either pulling the list of templates or pulling the available labels. So in this one here, you can see that we've pulled all the labels again. And I'll just copy. I'll do a different one this time. I need to do this one. So I have this Contoso FTEs label. We'll paste in that label ID, and it's going to ask me for a path to a file. So I've saved this PDF demo path here. Make sure it's still right. And so as the application developer, I simply gave it the label ID and the file path. And there's some other metadata that you can specify about how the file is being handled. Is it in transit? Is it at rest? Et cetera. And so now the application has protected the PDF. It threw some error messages there that I've never seen before. And then told me that it labeled this file as PDF demo_modified. If I continue to run the demo, it will now try to read the label. And so we'll be able to actually use that same interface to detect whether or not the file is labeled. And it returns that, yes, the file has the Contoso FTEs label on it.
Right. Now, one thing, if you noticed succinctly here, while Tom was running the app and encrypted the PDF extension did not change. This is primarily because of the fact that now that Adobe is formally supporting our set of capabilities, as part of our agreement, we now support the ISO standard for encryption for PDF, which is based on the PDF spec called 1.7, or in this case, it's also referred to as PDF-IRM v2. So now, when you now encrypt, this is what is called as native protection. So it's no longer a generic wrapper that we put on top of a PDF doc. And this is actually a big change, primarily because it now brings the PDF document at the same level as Office documents in the way it's treated, encrypted, labeled, classified, as it were. And going forward, Adobe will also be bringing some of these capabilities into their Acrobat Pro capabilities, bringing, right now, obviously, the Adobe capabilities restricted just to Windows, which will be going public preview early in October. And they'll eventually also expand that to Mac and other platforms as well.
So here I was able to open up the document in Adobe, same document we looked at a minute ago. You'll notice that it doesn't list the label. And the label's not listed because I protected this from a different tenant, and I'm viewing this with my Microsoft identity. So it doesn't know what that label means because it has no access to that other tenant to populate the information. So while the label information isn't visible to me as a Microsoft employee, because it's from that test tenant, if I click permissions, I'll be able to see exactly what I can do with the document. Sorry?
Go to custom.
Yeah. And so in custom, no, that's not in there.
Okay.
That's weird. So in Office, we embed that in, I'll show you. We embed that information in the custom property types. So if I label a document here, if we look File, Properties, Advanced Properties, Custom, we'll see that metadata get applied. So we're storing that in the custom document properties in the Office document.
And what you just saw there with the add-in experience that's there on Windows right now, that add-in is also based on the MIP SDK. So there are a lot of products and capabilities that we're now retooling based on this common SDK within Microsoft itself. And as a matter of fact, if you saw some of the SharePoint demos where they were pulling in labels and all that stuff, they themselves are using the MIP SDK under the covers as well. So as I mentioned, not only are there folks like yourselves that are going to be kicking the tires and trying it out and building applications, we also have ISV partners that have done the same work. We've also got Microsoft partners that have also done the same work. So it's been something that's been tried and true, and now we feel comfortable to make that available, generally available to all of you and to have you at it.
All right, and the last demo that I have, so everybody, there's a collective groan when Kartik mentioned C++. Is everybody C# familiar, developers?
Okay.
Some people?
All right.
All right, so today we're also announcing, in addition to the C++ SDK being generally available, we're announcing the public preview of the C# wrapper, which will, which will allow you to write C#.NET applications that you can use in your environment. We find, a lot of our customers are not using C++ for line of business applications, but they're using C# or Java or other things. So C#'s our first foray into shipping a wrapper, and then we'll focus on other languages later. So we need some of your feedback to decide what that should look like and what we build next. So the sample application I have here is actually available in a hands-on lab that you can go and do today. It's HOL 4000. And it's meant to demonstrate a line of business application that I would write in my organization, or use in my organization. Sorry, words are hard today. So I launched the app, and you can see that it's just got some data grid. This is just stub data from a web service. It's got a list of labels. So this actually uses the SDK to list the labels that are available to my user. And then it's meant to simulate a user who's downloading data from some line of business app. So we probably all have applications in our companies where somebody's looking at data, or they have customer records, and they need to export to Excel and do something with it. And we want to make sure that data doesn't go out the door or go to somebody's Hotmail account and that kind of thing.
By the way, Tom's not a UI developer.
If you couldn't tell.
That's why if you see it's hard to see, there's a reason for that.
I meant to fix this, but things got crazy. So this button's a little hard to see. There's a download button here, and there's a list of labels available. So over on the right here, I can click just Contoso FTEs. That's a label that's available to me as a user. Another way to think about this might not be that you want your user to label it, but you as an administrator, as the security admin, you might be able in your app to say certain types of data have certain types of labels. And so in the interfaces to export this, or in tables that are maybe HR specific, you would say anything exported from this table is highly confidential. And in tables that describe maybe sales numbers, you would say that this data is confidential. And so this isn't an interface you might necessarily expose to the user. You might have an admin who sets this on the back end.
Right. In addition to that, one of the reasons why this sample got built was because one of our partner organizations, the Power BI team, they're now looking at classification of their dashboard. And one of the biggest problems they used to have was that if someone would classify or label a dashboard and hit export or analyze in Excel, you could go into Excel, muck around with the data, and then sync back to Power BI, and your entire dashboard would be a mess. So now, by them classifying, by using this SDK, they're now classifying their dashboard. When they do analyze in Excel, the same confidentiality now conveys. So the rendered Excel file, if you don't have rights to open and muck around with the Excel file, you would not be able to go do it. So it now inherits that capability. So these are some of the examples or use cases that you can now implement as part of using the SDK and kind of wrapping that up in your line of business apps as well.
So to complete the demo here, I'm a user. I'm doing something in this application with this incredibly useful information, and I want to export it. So I selected a label called confidential Contoso FTEs, and now I download that breakpoint. And I get prompted to download it. It says, hey, you can save this now. And so I'm just going to save that. And as the user, I don't know anything happened. So as an administrator, I could apply these labels to this data set. The user goes to download it, and they open it up. And so I can get my app output. And in theory, the end user wouldn't know that you did anything. So you can see a few things happened here. First off, this is, again, from a different tenant, so the label doesn't display right away. But you can see that it has this confidential Contoso FTEs ribbon that comes up. And if I click View Permissions, it'll show the rights that I have. So I don't have full control. I can't remove permission, but I can copy and paste and print. This is all configurable by the administrator. I can reduce rights depending on the sensitivity of the information that I'm dealing with. And if I go back and drill into that custom properties, we'll see here that the label information was applied. So now my DLP solutions, Windows Information Protection, can use that metadata on the document to restrict access or monitor where it's going or to block the user from sending outside of Exchange Online, for example. So that's completely transparent. If your line of business apps are in C# today, you'd be able to take that wrapper and start to do the work to integrate this immediately.
All right, so with that, what's next? Well, as I mentioned, the SDK is ready. Apparently there's a lag between the screen and what we're seeing here. The SDK is ready. We want you to start engaging, so if you want to go download the SDK, you're more than welcome to do so. One thing to note, the Windows SDK, the Windows is available already as a NuGet package, as is the C# preview. So you can actually download those as NuGet packages and get everything going. We haven't done the package management part for the Linux and Macs components, so there's a little bit of a grunt work or heavy lifting that needs to be done there, putting the relevant libraries into your include folder and so on and so forth. But rest assured, we are working on that. We will be working on that. The samples are already out there on Azure samples, so that's the other thing you might go to look at is go to GitHub. Look at the folder that says Azure-sample, and you'll see all these samples that Tom just demonstrated here all showing up there. And you can literally download those things, get the SDK, compile, and it should just run. Provided that you have your subscription.
One comment on the NuGet packages, they won't be available until probably later this week or early next week.
Right.
We ran into some last-minute things. So if you go to that link, it's not going to work right now, but they will be available.
Okay. Like I said, please engage with us. Few things that we're also looking at from a roadmap standpoint as we go forward. We're also looking at bringing in things, building front ends, if you will, to our classification service. So you now have classification APIs being delivered as part of the SDK. In addition to that, we're also bringing in some of the audit capabilities within the SDK itself. And as you can see, the way this SDK is designed, it's actually modular. It doesn't, just because it has a slew of these things, your application may or may not choose all that. As a matter of fact, some of the samples that Tom showed you, in the protection API, it literally just went ahead and applied protection, right? You don't have to use the labeling API. So it's modular in that sense. We've actually made it in such a way that you can, essentially a Swiss Army knife of capabilities around information protection, as it were. So a couple of things, resources that are in your hands. So again, resources-wise, you have the GA blog that will be out soon. Binaries. This is the location that you will go to get binaries of all sorts, of all the platforms. GA and the public preview versions as well. The NuGet package, as I mentioned. And then the doc site. We've got an entirely new doc page. It is not, please do not reference the RMS SDK doc page. This is a completely brand new experience. Please take a look. Would love to get your feedback on that stuff. That said, this is not the only MIP session. There are a heck of a lot more that you can cover. As a matter of fact, tomorrow in the morning at the Hyatt Rotunda, we are going to be showcasing 5 partners that have gone ahead and built integrations that will be GAing with what we have, including folks like Palo Alto, Informatica for structured data. So if you're interested, come by, and those folks there will actually go provide more details of how they've gone about integrating, and actually get a little bit more better explanation than what I did for the Digital Guardian demo as well. So please feel free to come over and check us out. And obviously, make sure that as you leave, to go ahead and evaluate the session. Ignore the joke I played. All right, but that said, and now we're ready for questions. Tom, anything else you want to add?
No, yeah, we left about 10 minutes for questions. We're a minute past that. So are there any questions, anything we can talk about?